So you want to make sure as you're looking at your floor plan, is there flow, is it livable, and is it resellable? On the top floor, we have a tremendous amount of wasted space. This is a 5,000 square foot house, and we only have one bedroom upstairs. That's going to be a problem for resale. It had an open bedroom concept. So what an open bedroom concept means is this is where people run carpet all the way through with no walls into their bathroom, and then they run it up onto, as you can see in this, their tub deck. They got carpet on their tub deck. So now we are getting into that $3 million range. As we know as investors, we are targeting value add properties, or at least that's what I'm doing in the Seattle market, where I'm looking for properties that are substantially under market value, but a lot of times that's not on the as-is value, it's on the built out future value. Many times when people are walking through homes, they want to know what the budget's going to be. They want to walk in, they go, okay, well, roughly it's going to be about $100,000 to fix this house. But one of the key factors in every renovation plan is how are you designing your floor plan? You can either overdo it and create all the right spaces, but frame them in all the wrong ways and blow up your budget, or you can force a floor plan which will make it really hard to sell. And we're going to talk about all that right now. I always dig into the comparables. The comps are going to tell me how many bedrooms there are, how many bathrooms there are. But in addition to, it's going to tell me about the spaces, how big the spaces should be, and what the amenities that the house needs to offer to maybe achieve that high price. Not every 4-bedroom, 2-bath house is going to sell for the same price as a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house in the same area. It can come down to flow, where the bathroom's located, how big the in-suite bedroom is, or how large the kitchen is. So always dig into the comparables. I don't make the floor plan based on what I want. I make it based on what the comps tell me to do. I want to make sure I'm not forcing the plan. If I'm walking through a 1,000 square foot house and my comparables were a 1,000 square foot house, and they have 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, and I need to add an additional bedroom and bathroom into the plan I'm looking at, I need to make sure that I can do that in a way that has flow throughout the property. Just because you're adding bedrooms and bathrooms doesn't mean you're going to get the same value. So you want to make sure as you're looking at your floor plan, is there flow, is it livable, and is it resellable? Many times if you're adding these things, you can actually negatively impact the property. So you need to make sure that you're looking at your floor plan, the spaces, and do it in the right way. How much reconfiguring do I need to do? When you're laying out a house or you're putting together your plan, it's really important to me as a renovator that I'm trying to stay inside the structure. And we're going to look at that in a second on an example that we just completed. The reason I say that is if you stay inside the main structures, that requires less structural work, which means less structural framing, less foundation work, and footings. Those are the expensive things. So always as you're walking through your property, make sure that the desired plan that you're going to do is workable inside of your budget. If not, increase your budget size dramatically or look for a new plan to operate. So we're going to jump right into a project that we just listed for $3.25 million. We bought it about 12 months ago. So when we contracted this property, it was a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 5,000 square foot house. We knew there was a ton of additional space to add bedrooms, bathrooms, and do all sorts of reconfiguring, but we needed to find out what plan was the right one. So we weren't going to blow up the budget or also not utilize the space. So the first thing we always do is we dig into the floor plans. So right here is a house that actually sold within a half mile of our property that we just listed for $3.6 million. It was about 1,000 square feet larger than our house, so we already adjusted that price down for the price per square foot. But what all homes in this area, as we kind of dug through the market, they were selling it for above $3 million, as we knew that they had a minimum of 4 bedrooms and an office. In addition to, they had 3 to 4 bathrooms in every house, if not more. So those were things that we knew we were going to have to increase to get to that $3 million value. In addition to, as I'm going through my comparables, I'm not just looking at what the bedroom and bathroom count I need to add, but now we have to think about what's the flow of the house. So, and this is why comparables are so important. So as we go through these pictures, we can see that the main space right here, it had a wide open living room, vaulted ceilings, and it had a very airy feel. In addition to, when I got to the kitchen, I saw that the kitchen was huge. It was a chef-style kitchen. It had a center island. It had cabinets wrapping around all 3 sides. It was roughly about 25 feet wide. So big style chef kitchen. And I'm going through just the general kind of flow of the house. You come up the stairs. It has a huge in-suite bedroom, vaulted ceilings. And then this is where we're getting into the bathroom. In this one, it's oversized. It's got a walk-in shower, it's got a 5-piece bath, the vanities are split, and it's got its own toilet room. So when I go look at our next house, I knew that I was gonna have to have a big primary suite. But what I'm gathering from all my comparables right now, in this price range, I need to have an oversized kitchen, I need to have an oversized primary suite, and I need to have the bedroom counts, but also outside of the bedroom counts of 4, I need to have good flex spaces. It had a huge living room with vaulted ceilings all the way up, and it had additional flex spaces for the kids to kind of hang out in. So those are things I also want to pay attention to. Many times people get trapped by going for the bedroom bathroom count, and that can be a big mistake. You also got to look at the shared spaces. So now that we reviewed the comps, we're going to look at the property that we purchased out in Redmond, the before photos. So as we scroll through, the first thing we're going to get to, like we talked about, it had a huge oversized chef kitchen. When we get to our kitchen here, it's not quite the right size. Unfortunately, we have an L kitchen. It's got all the things, a sink, range, a fridge, but it's not big. And that's going to affect the resale dramatically if we don't get it to the same spaces and size. So as we're kind of going through here, we have this main wall right here that's kind of sectioning in our kitchen. So most likely this is going to be some sort of structural wall here. So as I'm doing my walkthroughs, I know that I have to get my kitchen bigger. I know that there's a structural wall holding up that post. And now I have to see where's the space that I can kind of go cheat into. All right, so now that we've looked at the kitchen and we know we have to expand it, the next thing we're going to look at is the in-suite primary bedroom. So the reason that's so important is when we were looking at the comparables, it was massive. It was roughly about 20 by 20 plus a 5-piece bath and a giant walk-in closet. So the good news about this house is we already have a massive primary suite. The bad news is it's framed all incorrectly. In addition to, it's missing some key components. It had an open bedroom concept. So what an open bedroom concept means is this is where people run carpet all the way through with no walls into their bathroom, and then they run it up onto, as you can see in this, their tub deck. They got carpet on their tub deck, which may have worked in the 70s with this wallpaper that's going on here. Not going to work now. So the one big positive that I'm seeing though is I have the space to create the same space that the comparable had. So the next thing the comparables told us to do was we needed to add an additional bathroom and an additional bedroom to optimize the value. The good news right now is we have a huge primary suite that we can actually get that big primary in there with a 5-piece bath, walk-in closet without a lot of issues. The kitchen has the space to work with, but we're going to need to expand it, do some structural framing. So now what we had to do was verify that we can get that 4th bedroom in with no issues to the floor plan. So upstairs, we had a wide open loft. In addition to, we had this other secondary loft, which gives me easy access to put in this 4th bedroom, which tells me that what I'm doing inside the property is going to get me to that $3 million value. Now it comes to how do we do it in a way that is cost effective. So now that we've reviewed the comparables, I went and walked the property and saw that the spaces were right to where I could put in the right plan to get me to that $3 million budget. Now it comes down to how do I lay it out in a cost effective way. So what I always like to do as I purchase a property is I like to either hire an architect or an as-built professional to go out and draw out the floor plans. So an architect is typically going to cost you substantially more money. They're going to come out, they're going to draw out the floor plan. They're going to note all the engineering and structural when they bring in their team. Then they're going to come up with your desired floor plan and submit and take you through permit. This can cost in our local market for this project anywhere between $12,000 and $20,000 depending on what they need. Now for me, as I was walking the floor plan, one thing that I noticed is I was only going to have to move one structural wall. That is really it. So I opted to bring out an as-built professional and a structural engineer because it reduced my cost by nearly $10,000 to $12,000. To get the as-built drawn up, it cost me $500 to get it drawn up. And then I could draw out my desired floor plan, and then they would put in those changes for another $500. In addition to, because I'm only moving one beam, I can have the engineer come out and run the calculations, and we can submit those plans to the city and get the permit a little bit quicker and cheaper. So always as you're looking at your project, know what professional to do. It can make a big, big difference on your bottom line. So let's look at the as-is plans. So these are the as-built to a property. An as-built is the current existing floor plan. So things that I had to do was in this kitchen area first is I needed to expand it. It's only 9.5 feet wide, whereas our comparable had nearly 15 to 20 feet and they had the chef-style kitchen. So from here, I had to go, well, what do I need to sacrifice to expand this kitchen out? Luckily, we had another roughly 10 feet from the corner of the kitchen all the way to the corner of the house where there was a mechanical and a powder room there and an oversized laundry. So they had this big oversized space that I knew I can kind of work around. And so what I wanted to do was move this wall over and get it into this section here to where I can really expand out this kitchen. And then I had room for accessing this door through here. And these are all, and we'll look at the finished product in just a second. The reason that's so important as I'm looking at this is because I knew I had to get the kitchen bigger. The kitchen backed up to that garage wall, and I needed to make sure I also had indoor or access from the garage into the house. That if I didn't have that, that would be kind of a weird feature, and it can bring down the value of my home. And so all I was checking for in this section was do I have enough space to move the kitchen over at least 5 feet, and is that going to give me enough room to get a hallway in? The as-built tells me yes. In addition to in this house, when we were looking at the comparables, we saw that it had a huge opened up living room that was a great room style, and it had big windows running all the way through that's going to lead to a huge first impression. That also tells me that I'm going to need to take out this wall right here, which is also a structural wall. So I need to move 2 structural walls instead of 1. That's going to tell me to increase my framing budget dramatically. Now, as I go through the rest of the floor plan, I'm going to have an oversized kitchen here. I'm going to have an open concept living room or dining room that's going to lead into a giant living room at this point, which would match the floor plan of our comp. So as we kind of come through to the upstairs, we're getting to now the top floor. And as you can see here on the top floor, we have a tremendous amount of wasted space. This is a 5,000 square foot house, and we only have 1 bedroom upstairs. That's going to be a problem for resale. When we were looking at the comparables, they had 3 bedrooms up and 1 bedroom on the main floor. So we want to try to match that same plan. So in this house right here, we had 2 bedrooms on the main, and then we wanted to add at least another bedroom and office to this property. The good news is we have this weird office right here, which is not functional. It's a walled off room. It's got no windows. It's like a dark little shed inside a huge house. Not really good. And then on this side of the house, we had a 13-foot wide property that ran 31 feet long. So that tells me I can already get 2 bedrooms in this section because a bedroom needs to be 12 by 12 roughly. I can get 2 bedrooms in this section and closets stacked in between here. In addition to, because I have 31 feet, I can actually tuck in another bathroom in here, that additional bath we need to optimize that value in an area that flows well. Now, when we get into this primary suite, this is where it gets a little weird. This primary suite has almost no frame walls in here. You walk in, you have a little closet, like a broom closet, not necessarily in a primary. Then you had a sink when you came in case you want to wash your hands on the way into the bedroom. Not good for resale. And then you wrap around, and the master bedroom was open all the way through on a 31-foot run for bedroom. This is where your bed's going to go. Then you had a fireplace, freestanding fireplace, a huge tub deck that took up 11 feet by 10 feet that was covered in carpet too. And then they had another vanity and a very small shower. The shower is roughly 3 by 3. So we have this giant space with a very small shower. So all this was a kind of a nightmare for resale. So what we needed to do was kind of figure out how to frame it out. What I'm looking at when I'm reframing things is this door works out really well, right? We can come in and then we can reclaim a lot of this space here as the walk-in closet. That's going to give me an 8-foot by nearly 12-foot wide closet. That's huge. It's oversized. That's also what the comparables had. So we're not just coming out with a dinky closet, we're getting the right size ones. And then as I'm looking at these floor plans here, the in-suite had 11.5 feet to this frame wall here, and then it was closets. That's not really good for flow. It's a big, big bedroom. We don't want a tight place for the bed. So we're demoing out these closets right here. And then the good news is because the hallway splits the room so well, is we can just run a simple frame wall through here, and we're gonna have a big primary bath, a big walk-in closet, and we only had to use 2x4s. So that's gonna tell me when I'm budgeting, I can bring it down. All right, so now that we looked at what the house was before, let's look at what we did here and why. So as you came through this property, you can see we made some major changes. The first thing we did was we actually built up the living room. We were talking about big great rooms that had a sunken living room. We raised that up so it's one big open area. And as you kind of come through the house, you You have this nice big living room that has tons of windows going from floor to ceiling. That's another thing that adds substantial value to properties as you're looking at them. The more natural light, the better. That is gonna make people feel better. They're gonna pay you more for the property. So again, always look at where your natural light is as well. So you come through, it's a nice big open great room. It goes into a nice big open dining room, just like the comparable. And then look at what we were able to do with our kitchen. By adding one new beam and frame wall through here, we were able to expand our kitchen by almost 6 feet. That got it substantially bigger to where we could add a massive run-in, kitchen sink, range, refrigerator, a little pantry, and an oversized 10-foot island. So now we are getting into that $3 million range. If we would have not opened that kitchen, we would have felt more like a $2 million to $2.5 million house. So this was essential. So as you come up these stairs, we did an exposed railing all the way through. So you come up the stairs, it's grand, it's big, you can see below. And then we took this weird office and we turned it into a nice 13 by 13 flex space for the kids to kind of hang out and do their homework in. And then this giant oversized bed or loft, we created then a 13 by 11 bedroom. We added a bathroom here that will service both bedrooms for the kids upstairs. And then we have another 14 by 13 oversized bedroom through this section. So as you come down the hallway, let's get into our primary suite. Remember what it looked like before, carpet everywhere, weird sinks. So now you come in and it's nice and grand. We have a 13.5-foot wall here. We have a 20-foot stretch through here so that it's got plenty of room for the bedrooms, dressers, whatever they need. And then you come into a giant oversized 100 to 120 square foot walk-in closet and a big primary 5-piece bath, which the comparable had before. Again, this is not that much structural framing for me to do because I had to add in a 2x4 wall through this section, and that was it. And when you're laying out your floor plans, that is the key to staying in budget inside your framing. Look at the spaces that you have. Where are the major walls coming down, and can you work inside those? So as you can see, this floor plan is much, much better now. We're getting lots of activity at our $3.2 million price. It services what the demographics are, large families on a large lot. We have the right bedrooms and bathrooms counts. And we were also able to do it by systematically planning where things were around our giant frame walls. So as you're looking at your next flip property, always check to where the structure is. That is going to be the key for most renovation. I hope you enjoyed this video about how to lay out your next flip house and how to optimize your value. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe below. And for more tips on how to flip your next house, check us out on YouTube at Project RE or on Instagram at JDainFlip.